نبدي كورسنا NextJS. اول شيء مقدمه عن NextJS. اول شيء قبل لا ابدي، من هني ما عنده خبره كلش بالويب ديف، HTML CSS جافا سكريبت كلش شويه. ان شاء الله راح امشي عليهم على السريع، HTML CSS جافا سكريبت، وبعدين راح ابدي برياكت و NextJS وشي. ليش NextJS؟ ليش انا وايد احب NextJS؟ اللي يعرفني كله اسولف عن NextJS وشي، لانه اعطاني تولز ان اقدر من ايديا لفيتشر انا ويب سايت صدق بمنت، يعني ما قاعد غشمر. يعني لو الحين اقدر اسوي قدامكم شيء وتطلعونه بتليفونكم. الباك اند، الفرونت اند، الميدل وير، داتابيس، الاوثنتيكيشن، كل شيء لغه واحده. ما راح تحولون بين بايثون مثلا جانجو، تحولون بايثون بعدين HTML SQL وات ايفر، كلها لغه واحده. تتعلمون تايب سكريبت راح تمشون فيها نفس الستايلينج، نفس الفانكشنز، نفس كل شيء throughout the application يعني. The changes you make as soon as you save the file you will see them reflected on the screen. قبل 10 سنين تقريبا كنا نستخدم شيء اسمه فايل زلة. You have to upload your website to a server so that you can see what changed. You change a line, you upload it, you wait a minute or two, you see the changes. فحتى مرات يعني you want to change a color of the button, it doesn't work. You try again, it doesn't work, you try again. ليه ما يضبط معاكم يعني. وايد صارت العملية أسهل إن you go from idea to execution يعني. وشيء مميز بNextJS it's very fast, it's very optimized. إذا تعرفون شيء اسمه SEO search engine optimization، اللي هو إن how do you rank on Google when someone searches for a keyword or for your website. NextJS does it automatically for you يعني. Once the system clicks you will be unstoppable. You can create basically anything you can think of. I priced this course at $3 million and it's worth it. I'm gonna assume that you all know basics of database design, how to create tables and so on. APIs, what APIs are, things like that يعني. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, I will go through them real quickly inshallah. By the end inshallah you will have a good understanding of React and NextJS. You will be able to create full apps. You will learn about many tools. I won't cover all tools بس راح أعطيكم وايد يعني. مثلا راح أوريكم شلون تسوون موبايل اب، شلون تسوون whatever you want. 3D, how to add 3D animations or 3D objects, 3D games in your website. I will try to show you and cover these things these 2 days. اليوم راح نمشي على هذا الانترو. How we set up the project. We will go through HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then we will cover TypeScript, which is what we use to write NextJS. TypeScript is basically JavaScript with add-ons. If you know JavaScript, you will understand TypeScript, inshallah. Tailwind CSS, which is, I will go through it. It is also a system just like CSS, but it's much faster or easier. And then today, inshallah, I will also cover React. And NextJS is built on React, so you need to have a good understanding of how React works. Quick demo بسويه على السريع. هذا الويب سايت اللي انتو you registered to this course from. فهذا الكود ماله. شلون I go from مثلا ابي a new feature، ابي اسوي a new page. I create a page called my button مثلا. Okay. Inside it, I will define a new file, page.tsx. Okay. هني شنو اقدر اسوي؟ I steal this code. I am gonna import use state. I will cover all of these inshallah. Okay. خلينا نقول ان ابي اسوي button that when clicked will change its color. نسوي const color set color equals use state. خلنا نسوي false. اوكي هني ابي I return a button والclass name is going to equal this. Okay. Slash button. Okay. شنو قاعد يديني هذا؟ Okay. الحين if I go to slash my button. Oh, okay. 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 This is my button which I created. Once I click on it, it changes color. Nothing fancy, but what I wanted to show you is if I commit this, my button, okay, I will give it a minute or two, and then we will see it live on carskw.com/mybutton. Few minutes. الحين it doesn't exist, but wait for it to upload, and I will have created a feature. Okay. انزين. Start off. Let's start with setting up your project. Please, all of you, create a new folder so we can work on it. And I'm assuming you all have VS Code, inshallah. If you don't, install it real quickly. First of all, you will check if you have Node installed on your device. So I will follow the steps with you. I'm gonna make a new folder. Okay. New folder NextJS. Okay. عادي أي مكان. Okay. إن شاء الله. لا بس يعني folder you open it. Okay. Here is the code. Okay. We will check if Node is installed. You can run either of these two. Node-v in the terminal. Open the terminal. Do Node-v. If you get the version, it means you have Node installed. If you don't have the version, I will send this link in Discord where you can install Node. Okay. فمنو ما عنده نود؟ في احد كتب نود؟ سوري؟ لا ان شاء الله. download latest ما not a problem يعني if you download the latest. I'm not sure. Yeah, if you can يعني انا عندي نود مانجر فاقدر I choose الفيرجن. بماك سهل. You do npm install n, it's a node manager. I can install any version I want. بس بويندوز اتوقع لازم تغير الباث يعني. بس ان شاء الله هني اكثرهم ماك يعني. تشوف وايد ماكس. من اللي الحين قاعد ينزل نوت؟ اوكي، على ما ينزل خلينا we switch up notes. بروح على HTML. let's get right into HTML. بعدين خلينا ينزلون نود بعدين. اوكي هذولي بالويب ديفلوبمنت كورس مرات اعطي case studies about people who make money by building apps. ف this is one of the most popular guys on Twitter. He shares his journey. Everything he does, he posts online. How much money he's making, how he's doing it, tips, tricks. حتى إذا عنده question يسأل والناس يردون عليه. فشنو سوى؟ هذا مو مبرمج قوي ولا داش جامعة الظاهر ولا شيء. الاب ماله كله بفايل واحد. doesn't use standard يعني كل شيء بفايل واحد وكذي. قاعد يستخدم OpenAI mid generation. it's an API يعني. connecting to a Stripe API which is for payments, connecting to another API which is for authorization, whatever. يعني قاعد يجمع APIs. وسوى له product اسمه Photo AI. You take pictures of yourself. بعدين you ask it مثلا to generate pictures of you on the beach or with you wearing a suit. It generates it for you. He's making over $50,000 per month from this app alone. Okay, وhe shares his journey. وعنده هالاب فكر okay, I already have the infrastructure. I'm gonna make another app called Interior AI. You take a picture of your room empty و ask it to decorate it for you. فبased on the structure of your room ومثلا you define you want white furniture مثلا و it slowly decorates it for you. He's also making over 50,000 from that other app يعني. Like I said, he's just using APIs. He's not building anything by himself. ويب سايت بسيط يعني ديزاين تقدرون تقلدونه ما في شيء صعب. هذا تقريبا نفس الفكرة over $20,000 per month. Again using AI to create images. AI is now the big trend يعني everyone is on it. هذا إذا تعرفون أحمد القطان صاحبي كذي سوى مشروع نفسه. You upload a PDF and then you can talk to it, ask questions about the PDF and so on. This guy put it behind a paywall. You have to pay to access the website. He's making over $8,000 per month. People are uploading their researches and so on and talking to it. Okay. This guy also shares his journey online. Dr. Ahmed Al-Hashimi used to study medicine. He's a doctor, but he learned how to develop so that he can make apps and يعني share his medical knowledge on websites and so on. فما شاء الله عليه يعني if you see his CV, he has many years of experience and he's building apps as well يعني. Okay. وفي wide examples. It's called building in public. It's a big community for people who like to basically build in public. This photo is like 5 months old. This guy is now making over 50,000 per month. At the time it was 5,000 per month, but he launched a new product based on NextJS and now he's making over 50,000. Many examples like that. Okay. I'm gonna assume you all know what the difference between front end and back end is. Okay. So منو قال ما يعرف HTML كلش؟ اوكي راح احاول امشي عليه شوي شوي. بالمواقع كل شيء دوكيمنت. تخيله كأنه وورد دوكيمنت. اوكي. ف what can you do with a word document? You can center the text, align it, make it bigger, add a photo and so on. اول ما بدا الويب سايت يعني making websites كانوا they look like this. It's just a document. You can recreate this in Word in less than 5 minutes يعني. These features you see on top in Word, you can do basically the same thing with HTML. You already use a different type of markdown. HTML stands for hypertext markdown language. You use markdown in WhatsApp, for example, when you surround text by asterisks. it becomes bold, صح? When you put an underscore, it becomes italicized, and so on. Markdown is basically the same thing, بس you use tags. فبدال لا تروح على السلكت بالوورد وتحط bold، لا انت تكتب strong. التاج مال making it bold is strong. بدال لا تروح فوق تطق header, you surround it by h1 tags. Okay. This is how you make headers. This is the format for HTML documents. You have the head right here and the body. The head is for defining things like the title of the page, and if you see in websites, you can see this little picture, for example, and connecting style sheets, so on. You define it in the head, and then in the body is basically the document. Just like creating a Word document, you are creating it in HTML, okay? These are the most common tags. P stands for paragraph. H1 to H6 is header 1 to header 6. Image is image. A is the anchor tag. It's for making links. So, you know, these blue things you click on and they turn purple and send you to another website, okay? Buttons, inputs, and lists, tables, and so on, okay? Okay. يرد على Okay. Most websites you will see these div elements. These are for making components. They stand for divisions. Some beginners have a hard time understanding how divs work. I like to explain it with an example. For example, this picture, it's divided. The whole picture is a div, and it's divided into, as you can see here, a left div and a right div. Okay, you have to imagine it. If you want to draw or whatever. بعدين this div is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 divs. Okay. وهم the second div is divided into 3 divs, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. So you have to imagine how pages are structured. This is more of a design problem than a programming problem. You have to imagine how your design would look like. It's up to you to divide elements to make them look good, okay? Okay. If this is a div, for example, this is how it would look like. Like I explained, you can nest them within each other. The main div has a div inside of it, and then the other div has another, and so on, okay? And each div has an ID, so you can target it later on. This image, like I explained, it's a big div with a div inside of it, which has the image, and then on the right is the channel info, and so on. Okay? فهمتوا هذا? Is it clear to everyone? You will have to play with it. I'm not gonna go deep into it, and I'm assuming إن شاء الله أغلبكم عندكم خبرة على الأقل شوي. Okay. CSS is for styling elements. You can style elements inside HTML like this. You do مثلا خلينا نقول الdiv style equals color red or background color blue. It would look like this, okay? But what's the problem with this? تخيلوا عندي 30 stylings. تبي تحط الخط حجمه، الفونت centered ولا لا كذي. راح يصير اللاين وايد طويل. فاللي بيشوف البرنامج مالك ايش قاعد يسوي راح يدوخ، راح يشوف انه زين شنو الستايلينجز ار بينج ابلايد، راح يمشي واحده واحده، ما راح يعرف كلير ايديا. وغير كذي الحين انتم سويتوا ستايلينجز، اوكي؟ ذاتس يور ستايل. تبي يو اد تو انذر element، راح تسوي كوبي حق اللاين هذا كله وتحطه. بعدين خلينا نقول غيرت بالك مثلا الخط، تبي تغير الفونت، لاين راح ترد تغيره. فكنا بالبرمجه نستخدم variables انه you define it at the top and then you can apply it to as many elements as you want. This is where CSS comes in. This is a CSS file. If you want to target, I don't recommend doing this, لأن you usually don't want to change the defaults. If you want to change the style of something, add a style to it. Don't change the default for everything. But if you want to target all paragraphs, for example, you create this color red مثلا, it will change all paragraphs to be red. بعدين في selecting with class and selecting with ID. They do the same thing, but usually we give IDs to a single element. فمثل a civil ID, we give it to a single person. IDs, we give them to a single element to style it. Usually we don't share IDs. فهني main container, if you can see in the HTML tag, div has the ID of container. بعدين CSS, I'm giving it a border style and a border width, and you're getting this border, okay? بعدين هني class, I defined in a class called button to have a background color of blue. فهني button has class equals button, which is the class I defined in my CSS. Both of these buttons have the same class, so they both get the background blue, okay? If I later on want to change my mind and I want my buttons to have a different color مثلا, I change it on the top. I don't go to each button, okay? Well, this is a big one. Nowadays, we have to make our websites work for different kinds of devices. You don't design for phones, tablets, whatever, each phone, each brand. You make your website responsive or flexible, and it adapts and changes with the screen size. So you do this with the media queries. We can set breakpoints. So I tell it if the screen size is less than 600 pixels, مثلا, make it a column. If it's longer than that, make it a row, and so on. I will go more into detail inshallah بالكلاس الجاي, لأن احنا we don't use this anymore. This is in CSS. We use Tailwind CSS, which makes this way easier. But this is a general idea about it, okay? فهمتوا CSS, how it works, styling? Okay. Okay. JavaScript is the programming language we use to add logic to our websites. So if you click a button, you want it to do something, to call an API, to do whatever, okay? We use JavaScript. It has a fairly easy syntax. You define variables with let or const or var. Const is a variable which you can't change later on. Let and var do the same thing almost. It's up to you to figure out what the difference is as a homework or whatever, okay? We have functions, fairly standard. We have another way of writing functions, which is called arrow functions. If you used Python, for example, it's called lambda functions, which is like you write the function in a single line. This is how you do it. And, these are the arguments, and then this is what it would return. Okay. We also have objects. Objects are very important. In Python, they are called dictionaries, I think. In Java, hash maps. They let you define a key value pair. If I call person.firstname, I will get John. If I call person.age, I will get 30, and so on, okay? Why this is useful is this is the standard format we use to communicate between servers. If I want to make a request to an API, I send it an object. I will receive an object as a response and deal with the data. Okay, get used to this format. Your database will return this format. Your authorization will return this format, and so on. Okay. We can't send objects through the internet. We have to first convert it to a string and then send it, and then convert it back when we receive it. JavaScript makes this easy with the JSON.stringify. So you pass in the object. So, for example, this person, and I get a string. We try it, okay? Real quickly. Let's go to Google. If you want an easy interpreter, you can just go to the console. If I pass in, let's make the screen bigger, okay? Person, and I console.log person.age, okay? I will get 30. But now I want to make it into a string. I do JSON.stringify person. Okay. We can see it turned into a single line string. It used to look like this. To convert it back, well, first of all, I would have to store it in a variable. Const JSON string equals JSON.stringify. To convert it back, I do console.log JSON.parse JSON.string or JSON string. As you can see, it turned back into an object, a JavaScript object. It used to be a string. So this is how we send data through the internet. We just send text. Okay? JavaScript, just like other languages, there are built-in functions. We usually in web dev always use the built-in functions. You rarely see anyone, for example, write a for loop. And then this code, which, what does this do? I forgot. Okay, it's trying to find an item. Okay, it's trying to find the first instance that's bigger than 3, which is 4. This entire thing can be converted into .find element with element bigger than 3, and it finds it. This single line is the same as these 4 lines. As soon as I look at this line, I know that it's trying to find an element. Whereas with the for loop, I would have to see what it's doing. Okay. في وايد أشياء في مثلا .map, .find, .filter, .reduce, wide built-in functions. You will learn them as you program. You can achieve the same functionality with for loops. Just like I said, it's easier for the program to understand what you're trying to do. Well, it looks much cleaner. Okay. شوف هالشيء أنا مو مسوي صار لي سنين لأن React solves this problem. But I will go through it real quick. Let's say you have a simple page which has a list of items, and you want to add an item. Okay, how do you do that without going to the website and changing the HTML, adding an item each time? You can use JavaScript. You add a listener to listen for clicks. If you saw my example with React, I just called I called the onClick function and passed it to the argument. Here I have to add an event, specify the type of it, target the ID, add an event for the click, and so on. All of this just to get add item. Okay. Lastly, I have a small project which I stole from here. It uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create a simple calculator. I put the code here so that you can explore how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript interact with each other on your own later on. Okay. You have numbers. This is the styling for CSS, and then you can see it's finding elements by ID. It's finding the inputs, the result, the clear button, saving it to variables, going through a for loop, adding an event listener to each button, and so on. Okay, and this is much easier in React. What is it? Then to create a new, first of all, open a folder. Make sure it's a new folder. Don't put it anywhere. To create a new NextJS application, you just do npx space create dash next dash app space project name. Okay. بس دقيقة. إذا أي أحد واجهته مشكلة بالinstallation, you can on Windows you have to run it as an administrator. On Mac or Linux, just do sudo space الcommand. Okay. إيه فبال these things كله yes. لا مو إلا آخر واحد. The default for would you like to use source directory is no. You have to change it to yes. Okay. هذولي extensions are very useful for programming NextJS. I recommend you go through the list and install them one by one. One more thing I recommend doing is enabling format on save. You do this by going to File, or sorry, code settings, and then settings again, and searching for format. You can see format unsafe. Enable this so that your code will always be organized when you save. خلصتوا الخطوات؟ ايه اوكي Copilot حق الستودنتس is free بس you have to يعني after the class register for it, okay? You have to apply and register. For normal users it's $20 per month. بس what Copilot does is it uses AI to complete your code. changes the game يعني. It's GitHub Copilot. Yes. It's not necessary, but it will make you much faster. لا مو لازم. Okay. Sorry. بالك هني تروح code then settings صدق
فايل بعدين preferences بعدين settings.
دكتور مو ويندوز بس. Okay. settings هني اكتب search for format. It's the third one down. لا شوف دكتور code settings بعدين settings again. Okay. في search search for format. اوكي الحين راح تشوفون انه بالمين فولدر اللي created صار في another folder which is the project you just created. In the terminal you have to switch the terminal from the parent root to the new project. So you do cd and then press tab, it should auto appear. Okay, and now you can see that I am on course بدال root. ويندوز نفسه سي دي صح؟ لا تنزل كوبايلوت. لا تنزل خلاص لا تنزل. بعدين شو اسمه لازم يكون عندك سبسكريبشن او يو ابلاي از ا ستودنت. Okay. Once you switch to the directory in which you created the project, you can do npm npm space run space dev. Okay. Also, we forgot about cars.com/mybutton. It's live now. You can check it on your phone if you want. Okay. وريتهم شلون ان I created a quick function و I pushed through GitHub و it's now live on الموقع على طول يعني without setup without anything. Okay. If you did npm run dev you should see this page. If you go to source, and then page.tsx. This is the file you are looking at. If you want to do it today, do it today. If you want to do it tomorrow, we're gonna start by deleting the page they created by default. It will look like an empty page. Then you can add your HTML, hello world. Okay. بس هذا إن شاء الله tomorrow. Today we're not gonna get into this. Okay, الكل اشتغل عند البروجكت. Everything is clear. نكمل. الحين نبلش TypeScript إن شاء الله. TypeScript is the language you're gonna use to do most of your programming. دائما أحب أشرح TypeScript بهالمثال. What do you think the output of this code is gonna be? Does anyone have a guess? يلا بونس اللي يحله بونس. ماكو بونس بس. What does this code do? Or what is it gonna output? Okay, so let's try it. Okay, if you go to inspect elements and console and run the code, you can see it returns banana. It doesn't return anything close to that. Okay, this is a problem with JavaScript. In على قولة واحد من الدكاترة, it's run by duct tape. Okay, لأن it's so old they are adding features to it. فمشكلته إن تخليك تسوي أي شيء. You can add a number to a string, a number to a list. Whatever you can think of, you can add a number to a boolean, a list to an object. It doesn't have any restrictions. You can also leave the semicolon out or keep it in. It's not gonna warn you. If you do any of these things, you can publish it وبعدين يجيلك واحد يقول لك والله مثلا بالinput field انت طالب name, I put a number والapp crashed. This is a big problem. This is what TypeScript hopes to solve. What TypeScript did is add types. اشرح لكم على مثال سهل هني. شوفوا مثلا هني لا هني مو مثال سهل. Okay. هني عندي function, it's called welcome, it takes the argument of user. By default, if we are using JavaScript, we can pass in anything as the user. It's not gonna warn me. But if I want the user to be an object with these properties, يعني لازم يكون اليوزر عنده ID و display name و version. TypeScript gives me that ability, and I can create a blueprint, which is called an interface, for what's called an account, and give it an ID, which is of type number, display name of type string, and version of type also number. يعني. هني كان في example. الحين إن شاء الله. ففي two main things we use in TypeScript. First is the interface, which is like the blueprint, and the second is the type. I can set this result to be either pass or fail. So if the user sets result to anything other than pass or fail, it's gonna throw an error. It's gonna warn you. You passed in something wrong. It's not even gonna compile. You won't even reach the stage of publishing the website. Okay? This is why it's useful. تشوفون الفورمات إن بالarguments الريزلت I put a column و I give it the type. فتشوفون هني عندي user و I'm trying to print user.name بس it doesn't exist here. It's first name. Normal JavaScript it will return undefined بس انت you don't want to reach the stage اللي it gives out an output. تبي it stops you, tells you no, you're doing something wrong. This is the power of TypeScript. Here it tells you property name does not exist on this object. Please change it. Also, when you are writing functions, this is a VS Code feature. خلينا نقول قاعد تكتب function which adds two numbers. It's gonna auto complete the arguments. It's gonna tell you إن مثلا خلينا نقول عندكم XYZ. It's gonna tell you إن we are expecting X to be a number, Y to be a number, Z to be a number. JavaScript does not do that. It lets you figure it out. Okay, so you have to go inside the function and see what the function accepts or of which type. Basically, TypeScript is just JavaScript with types, which gives you that extra functionality. You can see the documentation page and their main page for more information. You can see in here it code error and ما في شيء اسمه ORR, it's ARR. In JavaScript it's gonna let you check if ORR.length, then it's gonna return undefined or you're not gonna know why it's returning undefined لأن في O, A وراح تدخون. TypeScript catches that. Okay. Any wish?
It's like a spell checker.
Yeah. It doesn't matter for the performance or for the end result, but it matters for the programmer. Okay. You don't always have to define the types. Sometimes it infers it. فمثلا if you do a variable, for example, an example variable equals hello world. This is a string, you don't have to say no, this is a string. بس بعدين إذا variable you try to change it to a number, it's gonna stop you. It's gonna tell you no, this is a string. Stop trying to change it. Okay. زين منو كان عنده مشكلة؟ كيف كل شيء واضح عن تايب سكريبت؟ why we use it, what it is, what it's for. كذا واضح ولا مو منتبه؟ اوكي اوكي ان شاء الله بعد شوي البريك. Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Tailwind CSS. And this is missing CSS. Okay. شنو Tailwind CSS? It's basically CSS بس خليني أوريكم. أحسن بدل أشرح لكم أوريكم. خلاص؟ ايه تيلويند. ليش قاعد يصير؟ زين اوكي فقلنا ب CSS نسوي a new what is it called, a new style. We define the styles within it. With Tailwind it's made by designers who know styles, who know what fonts you should use, who know what sizes you should use for each screen. فمثلا يعني الfonts are usually 16 pixel and so on. They give you ready-made stylings. What's good about it is this is how you apply the stylings. إن مثلا class name equals background dash blue dash 500. It's gonna make the background blue. خلي اروح على documentation components. Okay. فهني يعطونكم lists of colors they have built in. They are designers, they should know what they're doing يعني. ف في أكثر من tool بس right now Tailwind is the most popular one. I think it's made by Facebook if I'm not mistaken. Okay. ف Tailwind نجيب الاب مالي للحين شغال. اوكي الحين شلون مثلا بعطي هالديف ستايلينج ابي اخلي الباك جراوند جرين. Normally we would do it with CSS. I would do background color green. Okay. ليش مو عاجبه؟ Fine. Okay, so background color green. background. Shut up, man.
بالتايب سي شنو كومنت تايب
بال
انت بتخليه كومنت
بالفوق الريتيرن you can do slash slash and this is a comment. بس داخل الريتيرن oh, this is the mistake. ايش قاعد يذيني؟
اذا سويت كومنت حق الريتيرن يصير كل اللي تحتها كومنتد ولا لا؟
إذا أسوي comment كذي شوي طريقته غريبة بس لأنه داخل الريتيرن فانكشن. اوكي
لا انت الحين اذا حطيت كومنت على قبل الريتيرن راح يصير كله كومنت ولا لا؟
لا إذا تبي
لا لا مو هني قبل اقصد على طول ما يسوي مو انت حطيت فوق سلاشز
إيه this is a comment.
قبل كل حرف الار
لا مو كل هذا إذا كله أحط سلاش نجمة وبعدين I close it نجمة سلاش.
هذا حتى within الريتيرن لازم تسوي
within the return إيه بس I have to enclose it with the curly braces. فit's curly braces slash شو اسمه. اوكي ما ادري ليش قاعد يطلع لي ايرور هني. it's crying about something بس it's working. okay ف this is how we do it in CSS. background color and we specify the color to be green. With Tailwind what you can do is do class name equals bg dash green and you can see a list of the greens available. okay you choose it. شنو؟ كله inline ما تسوون فايل. بس هم قاعد يتحطم على شنو؟ اوكي you can see in it applied. فمثلا بدل لا اسوي text dash align نقطتين center if I want to center the text I can just do center. okay but it's already centered. yeah نشوف التكست. فمثلا الفونت family you just type the font name and it's gonna apply. font size for example it's text dash sm is for small devices, base is for the normal one, lg for larger devices and so on. this is built in يعني. if I do text dash lg and I go see. okay let's do okay text dash 2xl. okay فنرد على Tailwind. Four main benefits over CSS. It's made by designers. They make the hard decisions for you. You can trust them. It allows you to write CSS more quickly and it's more in line. It gives you an easier way to write responsive design. لو تذكرون CSS قلت لكم شنو نسوي media query ونحدد السايزز. okay فنقول larger than 600 do this, smaller than 600 do this. بتيلويند اقدر اقول مثلا default نقول I split this. I split
اوبشن انا اكتب فيها الكود فايل CSS.
اي راح اوريكم بعد ان شاء الله.
نشوف الكود نكتب شوية.
قاعد احاول اسوي هذا. اوكي لا الحين ما ابيكم بس تفهمون وات تيلويند از. الكلاس الجاي كله راح يكون شو اسمه اغلبه رايتنج بس زين. هنقول باك جراوند بلو 200 اوكي. فيو كان سي ان
يعني كلهم شو اسمه كيوردز يعني بالتيلويند.
تيلويند موجودين اي
هاي فليكس من
اي هذول قاعد تشوف. This is اي this is what it's doing is centering the text on the screen. Okay. If I do background cyan مثلا 500 okay. انزين بتيلويند قلت لكم انا بذاك you have to put الميديا queries و put widths ف bigger than 600 و smaller than 600 and so on. هني you can just do for small so SM I want it to be BG نقول slate okay. فتشوفون الحين for small devices which is okay ف XS is extra small which is phones, small is laptops or tablets.
Also it changes color based on the size of
The size of your screen you don't have to put in the width and so on. يعني لو أرد على CSS okay. This is how you do it to CSS. إن الmin width or الماx width 600 أبي الباكراوند is blue. الماكس width 1000 أبي الباكراوند is red مثلا. هني لا I just do SM و XL و LG large و define ال colors و it's gonna auto do it for me. ويعني أقدر أحط مو بس ال color ال width ال text size ال image size ال image how it looks borders no borders. لو تشوفون بالويب سايت خصوصا مثلا خلينا نقول يس تشوفون مثلا يوتيوب okay ف it's rows when I shrink the screen it turns into columns okay.
Community, the hit show.
أنا be community okay. ف you can define this with tailwind and when it's this size these many columns when it's this size it becomes responsive. لو أرجع على tailwind الدوكيومنتيشن مالهم من أحسن الدوكيومنتيشنز بالبرمجة. يعني حتى إذا بتعلم CSS أروح لهم يعني يشرحون لي البروبرتيز. خليني أروح هني يعني مثلا بفهم الفلكس أروح هني أكتب فلكس طبعا يعطيني التاجز الموجودة. بعدين هني في شرح إنه شنو يسوي الفلكس. أبي align items مثلا مو align items justify items okay. فقاعد يقول لي إذا I do justify item start they're gonna align to the left the end to the right the center to the center and so on okay. و if I hover over what's it called inline tailwind CSS styles I can see what it's doing in the background the CSS it's creating in the background okay. ومرات الواحد شنو ما يبي الكلرز اللي هم محددين لنا او نقول السايز مثلا M is for margin ف شوف I added a margin these are defaults. فمثلا بقول لا انا بحدد اقدر شنو بدال الرقم اللي يحط لي اياه احط البراكتس بعدين I can decide مثلا 50px. okay, if I do 70px it's gonna change. this is how I change it if I want to get out of the design يعني. okay, شنو الكود؟ تبي تشوف هذا؟ ها شنو فيه؟ لا الحين انا قاعد اشرح هذا. اوكي ففهمتوا فكرة تيلويند؟ مع البراكتس you will start to learn the tags. I encourage you to go through the documentation, just look at it, look at what's available. فمثلا هني في property called flex grow. If you have 3 items it's gonna make the one on the right and on the left small وبعدين the one in the middle is gonna grow to occupy the remaining space. hovering مثلا أبي on hover I turn it into cyan. This is how I do it. If I save it, okay, this is how easy it is. But Java CSS we have to do extra steps. لو تشوفون هني هم في animations, they make animations easy. فمثلا animate spin is gonna make something spin. It's like a small pinging thing, pulsing and so on. في transitions or transforms. Okay, تشوفون هذول الستايل شلون the button is growing. we do transition بعدين ease in out, which is this easing function. We add the delay, the first color, the color on hover, and so on. If you need any help, ChatGPT is really good at writing. So you just describe the animation you want and it's gonna help you. شوفوا هذا it's bouncing with the animate bounce. It's defining in for a specific screen size I want it to bounce. فمثلا on small screens you don't want many distractions, so you turn it off and so on. Okay, فهمتوا general idea of Tailwind CSS? Okay, I will explain this soon. بس شنو في وايد ناس community كبيرة ما يحبون Tailwind CSS. ليش؟ لأن مو بس بوتستراب أحسن، لا ليش احنا سوينا CSS؟ توني شرحت لكم، قلت لكم عشان نطلع كل هالفانكشنز نقطها بفايل ثاني. يا رد Tailwind CSS لا، قال لا you hard code them inside the code. بس شنو الارجيومنت؟ الارجيومنت انه ب HTML يعني نكتب الديفز وكذي بال HTML وبعدين بالجافا سكريبت we modify it. اوكي، بالرياكت و NextJS وكذي we write components inside the React. This component is going to be used many times. If we want to change this component for all the website we just change it once يعني. بس في ناس still they don't like it. كيفهم؟ use whatever you like. You can use CSS, you can use مثل ما قال bootstrap. في وايد أشياء. بس الفرق بين bootstrap و Tailwind CSS إن bootstrap gives you ready-made components. It gives you a button and tells you use it in your website. لا, this gives you a design system. It gives you the colors, the sizes وشي وأنت you are the designer يعني. Okay. آخر شيء بشرحه بتيلويند في غلطة الناس يسوونها لأن ما يفهمون شلون تيل ويند قاعد يشتغل. خلي أقول هني بالفانكشن أنا راح أشرح إن شاء الله يوم ندش برياكت، بس خلينا نقول عندي const colored equals false. أوكي، فبهالdiv اكتب class name equals، بعدين ب JavaScript اكو شيء اسمه string lateral which you can insert conditions into. فاقدر اقول colored if it's true, or if I do if it's true I want the BG to be red. Okay, sorry, we need to add BG red 200. Okay, if it's false we are gonna do BG red green. Okay, 400. It's right there. صح. Okay. 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 It's false now. If I turn it to true, it's gonna be red. Okay. شنو الغلطة الناس يسوونها؟ يسوون كذي، بدال لا يكتب الفول نيم انه بي جي داش ريد داش 200 وبي جي داش هذا، لا يبي يختصر، يقول ابي برا القوس اللي حاطه اكتب بي جي داش اوكي اي سراوندد. اوكي، ف 500. اوكي مثلا for example. ف if it's false I want it to be green. If it's true I want it to be red. Okay, don't do this, it's not gonna work. ليش it's not gonna work؟ لأن مثل ما قلت لكم شايفين يوم تسوون hover على tailwind it shows you what it does in the backend. tailwind actually generates this on real time. ف what it does قبل لا تسوون build حق الويب سايت it goes through the entire file as a text file. It searches for these keywords. If the keywords exist, then it's gonna generate the colors, the sizes, and so on. عشان it saves on size. This whole thing is not a keyword. وهذه واحدة من عيوب التيلويند إن مثلا هني لا هني I'm explaining in it parses files and generates CSS classes at runtime by searching for keywords. بس بهالexample في 2 keywords detected. Can you spot which ones? Okay, I'm gonna help you. It's this one, text red 600, and inside the tag there is the word container. Although we are not using it as a class, since it's parsing the whole file, it's actually generating for it. But it's so small and it's not gonna really hurt the time. So if I mention the colors or the sizes or whatever in the blog post مثلا قاعد اكتبه, it's not really gonna hurt performance. They are less than kilobytes يعني. But some people don't like this. Careful. Okay? It will create it in the backend. بس يعني the file will exist but it won't be used. Okay? if you mention any حتى بالcomments you add the comment you mention مثلا BG green, it's gonna create it لأن it sees it as a text file يعني it's a parser. Okay, ناخذ بريك 10 دقائق ربع ساعة وبعدين نرد إن شاء الله. يلا إن شاء الله. Okay. 2006. Ahmed. Okay. نبدي إن شاء الله React. Okay. So the main feature of React and many other JavaScript frameworks is they give you the ability to do something called JSX. It's basically where you write HTML inside JavaScript. Okay? But okay, it might sound complicated, but once you work with it, you're gonna find that it's way better than writing HTML normally. Okay? Indeed. This is an example of how we write JSX. We make a function. In the return parameter of the function, we write our HTML. Okay? What this allows us to do, هنقول عندنا a bigger function, let's say my app. We can use the function we created just like how we would use an HTML tag. So we can easily make many copies of it. Let's try this. Okay. نروح هنا على الكود. هذا هم بيرد يتحطم. يقول لي ما يسوي استخدم هذه. Okay. I created this. الحين below the div I created, I can just call my button. Sorry, it's yeah, slash. Okay. Okay. The button appeared on the bottom of the page. الحين I want to create 10 more buttons. I just copy paste it. I have, okay, مو 10, 3, okay. This is where Tailwind shines. If I go here to my button component and do class name equals, for example, background green 500, okay. All buttons are gonna get it, okay. If I do padding 10, okay, padding 10 is too much, 2, and then I'm gonna give it some margin, okay. You can see I easily created a component and now I can use it anywhere in my application. Right now I have it inside the page, but what we usually do is inside our source folder we create a new folder called components, and then I can create a new file called, for example, my button.tsx. Sorry.
I can't get used to it. If we want to like change the word on each button, we have to wait function my button.
Just gonna okay, okay. We can extract the button to another file. Usually this is what we do. We create a file called components and put all our components in it, and then we can use it wherever we want in our project. فعشان شي مثلا you see in big companies their styles are very consistent. You don't see buttons that look different from one page to another. لا, they are using the same components on multiple pages. Okay. If I want to extract it, I just do export function my button, and then here I can, instead of doing this, I can it will autofill it for me. Add import my button from component / my button. Okay. This does the same thing. If I change the color or anything, it's gonna affect the whole thing. Okay. This is the argument people make for Tailwind CSS. And okay, you are writing hard-coded values inside the code, but you change it once in one place and it's going to change in the entire app. You have to get used to writing components instead of writing the entire page. Okay. Okay. الحين أنا بمسح هذا عشان just for explanation purposes ما بي استخدم two files. Okay. السؤال اللي شذا قاعدين عليه, what if for each button I want to change the text. Okay. It's a function. I can pass it arguments. So let's say the first argument is gonna be main text. Main text. And the second argument is gonna be subtext. Okay. فهني inside the button I am a button I can add curly braces and say main text. Okay. I have a subtext and I can say subtext. Okay. بس شوفوا هني this is where TypeScript shines in. It's yelling at me in في error. You're calling the buttons but you're not passing in the props. We need the props. Here I can just do main text equals hello 1. Okay. And the subtext to be I don't know subtext 1. Okay. The first button is fine. The other buttons are yelling at me. I mean, this is yelling at me for some reason. Okay, here TypeScript is telling me in you didn't define the type. It's telling me the user can pass in a number or anything. To do this, I can do main text to be. Okay, I'm just gonna cheat. Gonna copy this. Okay. Now it's yelling at me and it's not main text anymore, it's text. And it's not subtext, it's subtext. Okay. Okay. You can see in the button changed. I can create as many buttons as I want. Oh, I don't know. Different text is gonna appear. Okay. الكل فاهم ال JSX how it's working? Who can spot the error in this code? Real quick. Subtext is 4. It's a string. I forgot the curly brackets here. It's supposed to be like this. Okay. Okay. تحت? Oh yeah. Also, if you don't use this program, I highly recommend it. I use it for taking my notes and everything. It's called obsidian.md. You can embed HTML inside it and many things, and it gives you a nice graph later on. So this is what we're learning today. Okay. فواضح JSX؟ الكل فاهم شنو JSX؟ What it does? Okay. JSX is used in many different. Sorry.
You can say the same thing for the colors, the function.
Yes, you can pass in the function, but like I said, pass in the whole name of the color. Okay. Okay, let's try it. أقدر أحول هذا ل string literal. So string literal is the backwards ticks in JavaScript. This allows us to write if statements inside of شو اسمه أو مو if statements يعني we can pass in variables as well. Let's say I pass in color. Also we need to add our BG color. Okay. BG color. We want it to be of type string. Okay. شوفوا, this is why we use an interface. The types are getting very long, so we would extract them to an interface above the function and just call it. I will do that later on. Just for now, we can do. Yeah, I gave it a type, but I didn't pass it in. It's yelling at me again. Okay. What did I do? Oh, PG color is a string. Okay. If I do PG color equals PG red 500. Okay. This is how you could pass it in. Okay, this is JSX. It's used by different JavaScript frameworks, but this is not the main use of React. The main use of React is what I will explain right now. Go to our React. Okay. Okay, so what React gives me the ability to do is write logic for my apps quickly. Let's say this is a small component. Let me copy it, and then I will go through it. I make a new component, okay? It's asking me to create each component. Hello. Okay. Before the return statement, I can write in my functions, my calls, my code, my checking, comparisons, whatever I want. بعدين results can be passed inside the return function. Right here, if I let me first call my component. My component, okay. It's saying hello, but if the argument is true, it's gonna say goodbye, okay? Okay, here there is a way to write it inside the return function, which is by using the conditional operator. So if is logged in is true, you can say hello, else goodbye. You don't need to do this, but there's different ways to write them, okay? This does if this is true, do this, if not, do that, okay? What I can do is, if the user is logged in, I can pass in my button. Instead of this, I can pass in my button, okay? Let's copy this. Okay, I can conditionally render components. If I'm logged in, I want this button to appear. I want the main page to appear, and so on. Later on, we will learn about authorization and validation. If the user is logged in, I want him to see the main page. If not, I want him to see just the login page. This is how I can do it. And, if he's logged in, if this is true, show him this component, else show him another component, or don't show him anything, or show him goodbye, whatever you want. If this is false, this is gonna disappear. زين؟ فاهمين هذا الحين؟ Clear? Okay. I'm gonna delete this component. Gonna delete it from here. Okay. Okay, this is another way of writing things. Let's say I have inside my home, I have a list of products. For each product, I want to create a new button. So what we can do, okay, is inside the return function, I can do products.map. Map will go through each item in the list. Okay. Okay, so it's gonna give me a product, and what am I gonna do with the product? I can do مثلا return. No, ما be return. Maybe I just conditionally render it. Let's make this smaller. Okay. فأبي الtext to be equals to product dot title. Okay. We take it from here. I'm gonna keep the rest as the same. بس ليش هذا منصوب علي؟ Okay. شنو؟ Okay, it's telling me not to run it inside the return function. So I'm not running it inside. Bella, I am. Okay. This is my mistake. Under products, I can make like a const product buttons equals, and then we call in the function. Okay. And why is it yelling at me? Something is missing. Oh, at the end here we have this. Okay. فالحين here I can pass in product buttons. So it's not returning anything. I want to return. Key equals, let's set it to product.id. Okay. For each product in the list, I created a button. Okay. Imagine if you have a database, you can fetch students from it, for example, and then for each student you create a new row in the page, or create a new button, create a new icon. Imagine if you have videos. For each video, like in YouTube, you create the thumbnail, the title, and so on. You pass it in the component and it will render. Okay. شرحنا بجافا سكريبت ان to handle clicks and so on, you have to pass in to add an event listener which listens to clicks and so on. In React, it's way easier. You create a function called handle click. Let's say in my button, I create a function called handle click. Okay. What I can do, button on click. Okay, on click, I want to call in this function. Okay, handle click. this is how we have to write it for some reason. I will explain why we have to use client tomorrow, inshallah. But for now. Okay. This is how easy it is to create a button, for example. Or instead of مثلا saying you clicked me, I can do, I'm passing in, for example, text. I can pass it in. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, okay, sorry. Here, instead of alert you clicked me, I can pass in text. Okay, if I press this one, it's gonna print cabbage. If I press this one, apple, and so on. You can see how quickly I can go from idea to feature. بس I write the logic. فمثلا الحين خلينا نقول I want to create Instagram slider. I create a component. It has the username, the picture, the small picture, the image in the middle, the like button, and so on. This is a component. And then خلي whatever the backend is, I fetch it like this. And each post has a title, has a user, and so on. And then I map through it and create a component for each one. And that's how easy it is to create like a Instagram feature, okay? Someone asked about mobile. It's the exact same thing as this. This is how we create mobile apps now, using JSX, which is HTML, okay? Styling is the same, and so on. اللهم شنو مثلا بدال نستخدم div, we use view, okay? في شيء اختلافات. بدال button small letter, we use button capital letter. You just look at the document, React Native. Introduction, for example. نفسه يعني it's a view with text. بدال paragraphs, for example, we use text. Okay? يعني with this knowledge, you can go home and try to build your own app. And then شنو يعني React? The main purpose of React is for it to react to changes, okay? إذا في variable تغير بالpage somewhere, I want another component to change based on that variable. This is where React shines. Let's say here we have inside the my button component, we create something called use state. We have to import it. Okay. Use state is what we use to handle state in React. Okay. You will use it a lot for if you have state is basically if something changes on the page, changes from one state to another. So you want to react to that change. Okay. Let's say we have a counter. We create the variable called counter and set count equals use state, and whatever is inside these brackets is going to be the default value. For now, the counter is going to start at 0. Okay. فشنو أقدر أسوي؟ أقدر هني بدال subtext أقول I want the count. فتشوفون هني ال default value is 0. ومثلا هني بالبutton on click بدال alert اكو شيء اسمه set count. I can set count to be equal to the initial count plus 1. Okay. Now once I click the button, you can see it's reacting to the change in the variable and it's changing the number. So this is how we do state management in React. Where you can see each button has a different counter, and it's inside the component. If I want them all to share the same counter, what I would do is take this whole state variable and add it to the top, وبعدين pass it in as a parameter to each function. Okay. فمثلا we can add another button and handle the click for it to decrement instead of increment, or change color, and so on. في another example هني for color, I think. This is a common mistake. Some people try to do مثلا count equals 10. You can't do that. لازم you use this is called a setter and a getter. لازم you use the set count you defined above. If you wanted to set it to just 10, you just do set count 10. So once you click any button, it's gonna turn into 10. Okay. What you can do is define variables to be dependent on the variable which changes. فأقدر أقول const multiplied equals count multiplied by 5, for example. Whenever this changes, this will also change, and then it will change here. If I do a new paragraph and say multiplied is multiplied, okay. I want to set count to count plus 1. You can see both of them are changing. لا هني you have to read up on const. You can't. Okay, so you can't change it manually. يعني you can't reassign it. Okay, but you can do this. يعني إن فحتى this is a function, for example. It's a const function. Okay. You can't change it later on, but it's calling something else which changes عادي يعني. واضح so far؟ فاهمين ال architecture of it؟ Okay. Okay, lastly, what I want to cover is another hook. The use state is called a hook. There's another hook which is called use effect. The format of it is like this. We do use effect and then 2 brackets. Okay, it's like this. Okay, I'm gonna import it. Okay. So what does use effect do? First of all, if you leave it empty like this, it's only gonna run when the page initially loads. For example, you want to fetch data on page load, or actually not on page load, on component load. فمثلا, as soon as you scroll to a post and it loads on the screen, you want to do something, particles or save the image, whatever you want. This is how you do it, with an empty bracket. But let's say you want to execute a function whenever one of these states changes. فالحين عندي الcount, for example. This is called the dependency array. If it's empty, it only loads once. If it's not empty, let's say count, okay? Whatever is inside the use effect will run whenever count changes, okay? فأقدر أقول مثلا console.log count. فالحين whenever count changes, let's open the console. Why is it so big? Okay. the console. Whenever it changes, it's logging. Okay. لأن it's defined as a dependency array.
Why is it useful?
لأن you want okay فمثلا خلينا نقول a user clicked a button which did something. Okay, you want, for example, to log that action. You want to send it to the database. This is where you do it. And you call a function that calls the database. السلام عليكم. moral support خلصنا. اوكي اوكي فهمتوا يعني. بس هني شنو المشكلة؟ أو مو مشكلة هي بس it might be unwanted behavior إن on initial page load it's also gonna log. You would have to add an if statement to say مثلا يعني you define a variable on top مثلا let page loaded equals false. بعدين هني you can do if okay it's helping me page loaded is false, you set it to true, and this is how you avoid in on first render making it. That's about it. Any questions about React, JSX, Tailwind, TypeScript, anything? Okay. Yeah. شكرا يعطيكم العافية. اللي عنده أي سؤال حيا الله.
Line 31 شنو هذا؟
Line 31.
Someone said they wanted the notes.
من بداية الكلاس يحنون قلت لهم إن شاء الله ما يسمعون شو اسوي. منو؟ does the notes الثاني كلاس لا أو الكلاسي أمس لا. إن شاء الله recording I will upload it if you want to listen بس في breaks. Yeah.